So many of my clients and honestly random people have come up to me and said some of the craziest things. And they've said, I feel like I can tell you this. And I think I want to normalize some of these situations. And I actually want to share with you a couple of ways my psychic abilities. So we're going to talk a lot about spirituality and psychic abilities within the how it's taboo, but also how it's actually helped me make a ton of money. And I think it's a little bit of my secret weapon, if I'm being completely honest. And it's something that a lot of people overlook when they're thinking about strategy. I think that's something that's very unique about working with me, is that I've built several different kinds of businesses. I'm not just a business coach that sells business coaching to business coaches. To me, I actually have no interest in that. I want to help holistic practitioners. I want to help Reiki masters. I want to help yoga teachers. I want to help massage therapists. I want to help people who practice homeopathy. I want to help people who are herbalists. That's my people. I'm not really interested in just the business coach to business coach weird pipeline that's starting to happen. And I think that's something that is a little bit unique in when you work with me as whether you're a client just coming in for a session, but something that is in all of my programs is some kind of healing work. And a lot of times we are talking about intuition, we're talking about past lives, we're talking about psychic abilities, because I don't think that you can have honestly, you don't have real life and not also have those things. Everybody has them. And this is why I wanted to bring this up on this episode. And I think so many people can relate, because you have literally called me. People have called me out of the blue. People have stopped me. People that I haven't heard from in years will send me a text message to tell me the craziest shit about their psychic experiences. And I think it needs to be normalized, if I'm being completely honest. I remember when I think about some of my first psychic experiences, or I always kind of make this joke, okay? When people are like, the craziest thing happened to me that I have to tell you. And I was like, try me, I talk to dead people. You can't weird me out more than I've already weirded myself out by what I've seen and experienced. Okay, so I'm always like, yeah, go ahead. This is a safe space, because I could go on for hours about some of the experiences that I've had, and you'd be like, wow, it is so normalized in my life. I don't realize quite that it's normal for other people. I also didn't realize that other people didn't have these same experiences. So when people come to me again for business help, we do a lot of this stuff and we have a lot of these conversations. And I think what stemmed from it, and why I developed the energetics of entrepreneurship and things like this that really honor the energetic body, or things that are beyond strategy or beyond tangible. It's why I often prescribe a homeopathy remedy if I have people come in that is specific for emotions, because I don't think we give enough credit to not only the nervous system, the mind, and also the spirit in the way that business works for us or doesn't work, or the way that money shows up or doesn't show up, the way that opportunities land at our doorstep or they don't. And so much of that has to do with your energetic frequency and this world that is unseen. So I want to tell you a little bit, a story about this woman who I really enjoy, love dearly, very, super nice, but we're still not close. We're friends. We were both yoga teachers. But in that yoga teaching world, just to give you guys some context, a lot of times when you're teaching and maybe taking a class, but it's not like when you work at an office where you have a lot of this kind of time where you pass each other in the lunchroom, or you have questions about things. So you go over here and you're like, hey, did you see this, or this policy changed? You're not really there at the same time as a lot of your other fellow teachers. So in order to really develop any kind of closeness or friendship, you would have to go outside of basically the studio, or work on an event together or something like that. This person, super nice, but really didn't have much, really liked her, but didn't really have a ton of personal time to get to know her. Calls me, I am not kidding, out of the blue. I don't think she had ever called me before. And I happened to be driving and she was like, hey, do you have a minute to chat? And I'm like, sure. I'm thinking she wants me to cover a yoga class like that night. Like, I'm thinking it's some kind of like that emergency. I was like, sure. She's like, the craziest thing just happened and I need to tell somebody. And I think you're the only person that would understand. And I was like, well, this seems strange because we're not really that close. So like, if something's happening to you and I'm the only person that can understand, like that's saying a lot. And I was like, I remember thinking, this is going to be fucking weird. What, when you're like, what the fuck am I getting myself into type of thing? And I was like, okay, shoot. And she goes on to tell me like how she had this kind of psychic moment in regards to like something that was happening in her like ex-husband's life and things like that, things that were going on during their marriage and like all these things that basically all these moments of like psychic abilities and like moments that she's realizing now were psychic moments. And something happened that like made it all click. And I was like, yeah, that's totally crazy. But I was also like, that's literally my normal fucking life. And people say this to me all the time. I had a client the other day comes in and she was saying something and she was like, can I just call it like a Kundalini awakening? And I was like, yeah, you can. And she was like, okay, she's like, I realize I've lived in worlds where I couldn't actually talk about any of these spiritual things that were happening to me, any of these like very profound experiences that are very eye-opening, but I have nowhere to share them. And I want to talk about how why do we not normalize that? I think my theory is, again, it's a sense of control. People who can see the futures, people who can see possibilities or, no possibilities that haven't happened yet, people who can predict things, medical intuitives who can be like, hey, I think your mom has cancer. There have been several times where I'm like, hey, you need to go get this checked. I can feel something is off in your body. Some of my experience is I can feel things in my body that they're feeling. I'll be like, do you have acid reflux? Like all of a sudden I'll get this like wave of like, again, like that heartburn feeling, that acid reflux feeling, or nausea or stomach aches, or I'm like, hey, I think you might have, this, and this, like go get it checked out. Like I recognize I'm feeling this. This might be a sign or an indicator. But when you have people that do those things, it's very hard to control them. It's very hard to charge for something that to them, like, not to charge, I think it's not like they don't charge for their services. I don't mean it like that. I mean it, and when you look at the medical model, it's you run this, you have these symptoms, that qualifies you for this code under insurance pays us back. Like it's something that we can put into a model and make it like systematized. And when you can't do that and can't control the people who are experiencing that and have those abilities, one of the ways is to stifle the experience, is to say like, hey, like that's not real, and discredit these people. The more that you can control people, the less, I think, or the more that you're able to keep them under your thumb, the more that you're able to control the narrative, the more that you're able to control what they believe and don't believe about themselves. So when people think these psychic moments are something unique and they're like, this is crazy, I'm like, it's actually not that crazy. People have psychic or spiritual experiences. Sometimes those can be used interchangeably depending on what they are. But they can have those moments, and that's actually very, very normal. Every single person is born with intuition. Every single person is born with the ability to be psychic. It's like anything else. It's a muscle that you develop. Some of the like crazier experiences, and again, it's become very normalized to me. So I really don't think this is crazy. And when this happens in your everyday life, again, it just shows you how when we take these things out, when we don't believe in ourselves, when we're not aware of our power, literally, like voltage wise, but also like the power of the mind and the power of being able to control your experience. I think this is when you hand over your power to other people. So one of the first that has always been really prominent to me and really kind of, I don't want to say like kick-started, but really allowed me to be more open to these experiences was my brother passed away. I was 15 and a half. He passed away while I was a sophomore in high school. I was finishing up my sophomore year because I was young. I was a young sophomore. And after he passed away, my brother, he was the youngest. So he passed away when he was 2. I was 15. And because I was the oldest and he was the youngest, I often like had to take him places or went and did things with, or watched him or cared for him a lot. And so we were close, like as close as it can be with like a 2-year-old, but I felt close to him. And afterwards, I remember very specifically, like I remember this time, I remember it happened several times, but this one sticks out for me because I think it was the first time that I was super cognizant of it. I have another brother, and that brother who's still living, his room butt up to my room. We shared a wall. And I would sit and do my makeup in this like full length mirror that was leaned up against the wall. And on the other side of that wall was my living brother's stereo. And I remember it turning on several times by itself. And I honestly, not that I didn't think anything of it, but like, it was one of those things where it was like a Saturday, so my brother would be home, or my brother was home at that time, so I just thought it was him turning it on, and then he'd be like, oh, no, I didn't turn it on. I was like, are you sure? Like, maybe he left it on, like, there were reasons where I could, like, justify it. And I remember he wasn't home. I don't think anybody else was home. Maybe, no, nobody else was home. And that's why it was so strange to me, there's so weird. Like, as I'm saying this, I'm having a moment where I'm like, oh, a spirit just walked in. I can't tell who, but I can feel it in my body. As I'm sitting there, the music turns on. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, this is so weird. And I was like, his name was Brendan. And I was like, Brendan, if that's you, can you turn the music off? The music went off. And then I asked him to turn it back on. And he turned it on. And I asked him to turn it back off. And I was like, thank you. Like, I know you're here. I feel you often. And I'm grateful that you show me. Like, I remember being like so grateful that he was still reaching out and still like connecting with me. And that was like, and I was 15 years old. And I remember having some experiences where like I would kind of know things, but nothing that was super obvious like that, where I was literally talking to a dead person and they were responding. Okay, so I was literally just talking to their spirit. And being able to tune into these other frequencies, these other experiences, and has allowed me to make, I think, so much money in my business without all the extra work. Because I'm like, I know that I'm supported by my team. Like, you got a VA, I got a spirit guide team, okay? Like, they're going to handle my shit. Do I still have to do work? Yes, unfortunately. I'm just kidding. But I think about it like these are a couple of ways that like that awareness of like, I am always supported, that there are always people here for me. And there have been so many other things, so many other times that I've been like, wow, that's like just mind blown crazy. I mean, most recently, I was like feeling really off, and I have this speaker in my office that when clients come in for in-person sessions, that I've used for years and years and years. I don't know how long I've had this thing. I've had it probably at least 10 years, at least, maybe more. And so I'm just thinking the speaker is old because it's like it's making that crackly sound, things like that. And I'm like, don't really think much about it. And I go to a friend to get a healing session for myself. And afterwards it stops doing it. Now, it was only crackling sometimes with certain people when they would come in. And it wasn't always the same person, and it wasn't always every single time. So it was really hard to find a pattern. But after I got the healing session, it stopped doing it. Now, fast forward, I was like, oh, that's so interesting. I noticed like 2 days later it hadn't done it. Didn't do it since. Fast forward, I go to Nicaragua. This is last month for a retreat. I come back, I feel very heavy. I can tell that I'm holding other people's energy. I've done all my like things that I can, like I've done an Epsom salt bath, stuff like that. Finally, I'm like, I think I just need to like sage the shit out of myself. I feel like I'm holding other people's stuff. Sage, literally sage the shit out of myself. Was super intentional. Instead of it, like sometimes it's like a quick pass, a small prayer. It's always intentional, but I'm like, I made sure to get like my armpits, the bottom of my feet, my back, like just making sure I was really thorough. Hasn't done it since. I recognize that there are so many times that when I see that kind of stuff happening, one, spirits always speak, and your guides or, other consciousness, whatever you would like to call it, always speaks in what's easiest first. So understand that things that are in frequency, that are less dense, are going to be the easiest way for them to communicate with you. So this is sound, this is light, so electrical things, stuff going on with your computer, things like that. So that's the easiest way. And I recognized when I was like, okay, when I'm in a slump where I'm like in a creative slump, or maybe I'm not making enough money or the same amount of money, and I'm like, what's happening? I really start to look at like what's going on with my frequency, because I already recognize how my frequency is affecting my life and what, not only what I attract into my life, but literally things around me. Because if I can speak sound, right, to a spirit, and it can influence sound, music, and the radio frequency, why would any other frequency be different? It's not. And so when you start to realize those things, and I think look at it in a very practical way and stop looking at it as something that is just like woo-woo and like only certain people have it. No, it is actually very real. It is very practical, and it's something that you can utilize in your business. One, I do an energetic cleanse of all of my technology, and that includes like shutting it down. I sage it. If I've had it, this has only happened, I think, twice, where I've had a guest on the podcast and I was like, something's off. I could feel that something was off afterwards, saged everything, and it felt better. And I was like, oh, things were working better. They were less slow. Like all of a sudden, like things were picking up quicker. But I do it when I'm going into like speak in a large group, or I'm going on a podcast or things like that. Like I'm very intentional with how my message is received or how I'm speaking, or because I always say the prayer, like I can't control how you perceive me or you perceive my words, but what I can control is my intentions. So the intent changes receivership. So I always say like a prayer before any training I give, anything like that. I'm like, spirit guides, please allow me to speak thoroughly and in such a way that everybody who's there, or my clients or whoever, will receive the wisdom that they need. Please allow my words to come through clearly in a way that is for the highest good of the group or the person. Please guide me in knowing what that is. Please allow me to trust myself. So that way it's not that I'm trying to get my message across. It's that I'm trying to get the message across that is going to help them the most. I'm trying to share something and I want them to hear it rather than just being there and being a passive observer. There's so many times on like a webinar or a training and people are on Zoom and you can tell they're like texting, they're doing other things, like, which is totally fine. But I also want them to be alert enough that when I say something that they need, for whatever reason, they're really focused in on the training. Their attention might waver for the other stuff, but like the thing that they need really stands out to them. Like that's what I want. And so there are so many different ways that you can utilize some of these things, and a way to incorporate more spirituality and even like psychic abilities into your business is by trusting yourself and trusting your intuition. If your intuition is saying that's not a good client and that you should not maybe accept them into a one-on-one because close proximity might be a little too much, maybe you need more of a group thing for them, like you need to be able to, that's one of the ways that, again, like my guides and my psychic abilities has really helped me. There have been times when I'm like, I don't know about this person, or I've really liked them, and my guides, it's interesting because sometimes we'll be in session, talking about strategies for their business, for what they're launching, ideas, and it becomes very clear to me when, if there is resistance, whether the resistance is because that's something that they're like, that doesn't really feel like, I don't know if I really want it to go in that direction. Like, again, we're just kind of spitballing ideas or whatever, versus this is a pattern in my nervous system. This is something that I'm working through and learning in this life, and it feels very different to me. And so sometimes when they come with reservations, it allows me to actually ask the questions that's needed to get to the true answer. And sometimes, honestly, they don't really like it. It's really uncomfortable for them, because what happens is instead of allowing excuses to stop them from something, I'm exposing why they're coming up with excuses, why there's resistance. And it's not that you can't, like, something can't not be for you. Like, I always tell everybody, I'm like, if you don't like the idea, I'm not hurt. Like, I've got 9 more. That's one of my gifts is like, I can think of 10 plus different ways for you to scale your business or different revenue streams. I'm very gifted at that. And I can see, I always say it's easy for me to see the forest through the trees, where, when you're in it, it's hard to see the forest through the trees. I'm like, I always feel like the opposite. It's easiest for me to see big picture. It's easier for me to see all of those things, which is what makes me good at helping people navigate growth in their business. Is you need somebody who can be the seer for your business and help you be able to navigate those things. Like, you're like, I want these things, but I need it to be more clear. And in that, I'm just mirroring and reflecting, like, if these are some of the things that you want, like, what if, how about, let's try, what would happen if. And sometimes when you throw those things out there, it strikes people's triggers and areas that they're holding a lot of tension around. And so they'll be really combative. And I have no problem if you don't like the idea. But sometimes when I'm telling you that, I can see that that's not actually the thing, like, that's an excuse. And then I'm like, that's not really what the metrics say. Like, the metrics say this is not a style of content that is performing well for you, but this is. And you're like, but I get the most DMs. I'm like, show me. No, it's that you're comfortable doing that type of content. But the other one that you're already doing sometimes, but not all the time, performs better. And if you're complaining that you're not getting new eyes, that your Instagram isn't growing or your TikTok isn't growing, but you have proof in the data that the style of content that you're comfortable with doesn't do well, it might just not do well right now. Again, like, the person who doesn't know you, who you're trying to convert to a follower or a part of your community, is going to be different than the type of content for somebody who already knows you, knows your style, knows what you're talking about. And so a lot of times, like, it has helped me so much tune in to all of those small things that when my intuition hits for things for my clients, we're able to actually look and unravel the pattern in a strategy session. So we always do like a soulful session, or a healing session of some kind once a month. And then when we work one-on-one, and then we do strategy sessions the other weeks. And this is because, again, you need healing work, and to be able to regulate your nervous system, to be able to work around the things that are blocking you from experiencing the life or the business that you want. Like, where is your frequency not matching with those things? And so as I'm working through some of those things, my ability to tune into these other frequencies, these other dimensions, I've talked to people's spirit guides during like strategy sessions. They'll be like, they don't really want to do that because blah, blah, blah. And I say that and they've like broken down in tears. They're like, I really don't want to do it, but I just feel like it's the only way to make money. I'm like, it's not the only way to make money. Stop letting business coaches tell you that their system is a proven strategy. It's not for everyone. It worked for them and it will work for some other people, but it's not for everybody, and that's okay. Let's try some of these other ways. And I think a lot of people are utilizing their psychic abilities, their intuitive abilities, and they don't even really know it in their business. And the more that you can actually lean into those things, I feel like when I do that is when I've gotten really cool opportunities, when people have approached me to do really fun things in business. And as opposed to when I'm trying to follow like such a regimen that I can't listen because I'm so focused in on it's got to be like this. When you do that and you feel the need to have all this control, it's that same thing of when we talked about that people will be like, oh, you know, nobody's really psychic, blah, 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 like that stuff isn't real. And I'm like, yes, because it makes them feel comfortable because they don't understand it. So it's easier for them to refute it and persecute the people who are countering their belief systems and living a life where they are happy, healthy, and wealthy, and they say, I am guided by spirit guides. And they're like, you can't, I don't believe that. Okay, cool. Don't, but it's made me a ton of money. So you can do business your way. And again, you hire your VA. My VA is free, kind of. Right? I'm just kidding. I hire a VA, like a real one. Okay. But I also utilize my spirit guides and I ask and I pray, hey, I'm going into this thing. Please remove any obstacles that make it difficult for me to have this outcome. Please soften their hearts so they can hear what I have to say without the confusion and the cloudiness that being irritated or angry has a tendency to do. You know, because when people, they don't want to hear you if they're angry, if they're resentful. And so I always utilize those things and I notice I get incredible results. And all these, it's really interesting to watch so many, you know, I've just been in the like business and entrepreneurship world for so long, you know, at this point, 13, 14 years, that it's so interesting to watch people kind of go through these like cycles and things and realizing that a lot of times like your greatest gift in growing your business or leaning into like gifts or whatever is actually a lot more simple. It's not quite as extravagant as I think sometimes people think it is. Like it doesn't take this really long ritual. It's not, you know, this crystal that is going to magnify your psychic abilities. And although those are helpful, and they can be used, I do use like moldavite from time to time, especially if, again, I feel like if I have a lot of clients. And so if I get tired through like the end of the day, I have a ring that I'll like pop on and it just kind of helps. In fact, I one time left it on all day and I was super psychic, but I was super drained afterwards. I was like, wow, it just took so much energy to be that sensitive and that aware. And the more that you can lean into these moments where you're like, this feels right. I don't know why I want to do this, but I'm being called or feeling nudged towards this thing. Like, listen to those things because those are the things that are typically meant for your soul. And a lot of times your guides are trying to nudge you in that direction and trying to make the path more clear for you to make it more easy and accessible. Life will have suffering. Why suffer more? Make it easy. Make it easier. Ask for help, ask for guidance, ask for those things in your business and talk about them with people. Like, one, you're always welcome in my realm. My realm is always a safe space for anyone who wants to talk about anything spiritual, spirit guides, intuitive, psychic abilities, kundalini, like all of those things are very normal in my world. And I've had a lot of experience with it for, again, like I had other experiences younger, but like my first, like very, very clear, I talk to dead people moments and talking to spirits, I was 15 years old. So this has been going on my whole life. And the more that I've noticed my clients have leaned into some of their gifts. So some of your gift might be knowing things, right? Like clairvoyance, all these different clairs of like some people. I have a client who smells. One of her like psychic abilities, or one of her clairs, is actually her gustos, or her being able to smell like certain things. She's like, she'll smell and she's like, oh, it smells like whatever, like it smells good to her. Or she has certain scents that she knows, like this one is a yes for her, this one is a no, which is really cool. You might hear things, you might see things, visions. Again, you might feel them in your body. There's so many different ways to experience these other frequencies. But the more that you tap into that, I've noticed that my clients have a tendency to experience less resistance in their business. They're not trying to be a cookie cutter from somebody else's business model. And even like it trickles down into health and relationships. Like you just trust yourself so much more. So there's less of that hemming and hawing back and forth. And when that happens, like there's a lot less moments of feeling anxious because there's trust. It's just wild to see the trickle down effect of my clients who really lean into their intuitive abilities, and they're doing other things. They're massage therapists, they're, these other things. They're not a healer. They're not a psychic or a medium by trade. But when they really start to lean into this entire realm that is available to everyone, their business and the way that they view business and interact and experience their business totally starts to change. So if you have any questions about that, I do a group program called The Path, which is being able to, I think everybody, when you're in entrepreneurship, there's kind of this joke that it would be so much easier if there was just like a book, a manual, a map. And entrepreneurship truly is creating your own path. So in this container, we go through and help you carve out your path that is for you with the help of, again, the group. I think group work is really important, and I think it helps elevate consciousness and awareness to be able to share ideas and connect. So if you're interested in something like that, let me know. I will put the link below for you to, it's not currently open, but you can get on the wait list. But in the meantime, if you'd like more information or more understanding about the energy of business and how your energetic body is affecting your business, again, these unseen things affecting your business, you could take the Which Chakra is Your Superpower in Business quiz. That's also below. You'll get results to your inbox. And so you can better understand what's happening. So the energetics of entrepreneurship, once you take the quiz, it will kind of walk you through some things, and it will let you know, like, doing this, because this is your superpower, it might be best to hire for these kinds of things, or you might need to do some healing work around this or around that. So it really gives you an awareness of how to actually structure a business that's more balanced, to honor where your gifts are, where your talents are. We're not trying to, again, be in a box. We are trying to carve our own path. And the first step is really understanding how your energetic body is affecting your business, how to trust yourself, how to follow your intuitive nudges. All of those things make a huge difference, and to really normalize that as a part of not just business, but also life. So if you have any questions about anything like that, please let me know on Instagram at Dr. Shalane Carter. But until next time, cheers.